notice the scent of cigars in the Philippine jungle, or see the glow of embers near a giant tree, or maybe you feel the eyes of an 8-foot beast upon you while you sleep. It might just be the Kapre. What is perhaps the simplest creature in Philippine mythology turns out to have a very complicated past. In this episode, we will attempt to peel away the layers that comprise the origin, history, and evolution of the Kapre.
Kapre has been described as a giant, dark skin, bad teeth, hangs out of trees and loves to smoke cigars. Sounds like one of my hobbies. Kapre is really interesting to me because it's almost, the experiences with the Kapres are almost, and the stories are almost same. Like you smell the tobacco and there's something huge outside your window on the trees. A nature spirit. Just sits in a tree and smokes a cigar and doesn't really pay attention to you except it looks really evil. That's about it. I've never heard of a Kapre harming anyone. It just likes to watch.
Some residents from Mambucal, this is the place, told us, whatever you do, go ahead, do whatever you need to do. But in the big circle right next to the entrance, there's a bend over there. Don't pass there because there's a black Kapre in there, and they're bad. That's the first time I had heard that there were the white Kapres who just smoked in the trees and let things be, and the black Kapre that would actually hurt you.
Perhaps the most famous Kapre is Mr. Brown, rumored to live in the 100-year-old balete tree near the front entrance of Malacanang Palace. In 2011, President Aquino even gave the tree heritage status. Or maybe you've heard the tales of how Emilio Aguinaldo, a Filipino revolutionary and former president, had a Kapre who protected him. Rumors suggest that the Kapre was in fact David Faison, an African-American soldier who defected to the Filipino Revolutionary Army led by Aguinaldo. Unconfirmed reports suggest that Faison was decapitated by hunters, but others believe he lived out his days on the Aguinaldo estate in Cavite and would be seen wandering the grounds at night.
I remember from our first interview that I never knew exactly what a Kapre did. It was just this huge creature that was up the tree smoking. I've read after that that it's based on the Indian word kafir, or is it South African?
One puzzling aspect of the Kapre is where the name came from. It is generally believed that it came from the Islamic term kafir, meaning non-believer or infidel. But exactly how and why this happened is unknown, especially since the Islamic population of the Philippines didn't use the term. I decided to go back to the beginning and trace exactly how the Kapre got its name. The word kafir comes from a pre-Islamic Arabic term meaning to cover seeds with earth or soil. In the Quran, it meant the denial of truth. Muslim historians in South Asia later used the term kafir for Hindus, Buddhists, and Sikhs. By the 15th century, the word kafir was used by Muslims in Africa to refer to the non-Muslim African slaves sold to European and Asian merchants. Meanwhile, major changes were happening in the Philippines. In episode 1, we talked about the Hindu and Buddhist influences in the region, but by 1390, Muslim traders had spread Islam through much of Southeast Asia, including the southern Philippines. Later, in 1565, the Spanish began setting up colonies and converting the native populations to Christianity. During this time, the Spanish brought in slaves through Portuguese merchants. In historical documents, the slaves brought through Acapulco to Manila were referred to as Negroes, while the slaves brought from East Africa through Kapre, borrowed from the Muslim term kafir. By the mid-17th century, many of these slaves were revolting. This is what sparked the theory that the Kapre was an invention of the Spanish to stop natives from assisting Negro slaves when they escaped. But there is no historical evidence to prove this. In fact, use of the word and foreign slavery began to steadily decline from 1640 to 1820. It would be another 100 years until the word Kapre was used to describe the creature. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the origins of the Kapre's physicality. Last episode, we talked about the animist beliefs of the pre-Spanish Philippines and how they believed in good and harmful spirits. Contrary to popular belief, evidence shows that they also believed that some of these spirits could appear in physical form. Early reports on folk beliefs of Filipino tribes have several accounts of various giant black spirits, but it was the Ilocano Pugot that smoked cigars in a tree before the Kapre took ownership of those characteristics. So how did the term Kapre get applied? Spanish literature written in the Philippines at the time showed that the word Kapre had evolved into a term describing uncivilized or uncouth behavior. This descriptive word became the general term for the Pugot and any similar creature. Their phonological alteration pronounced it Kapre. The early 20th century was also the first time that the creature was reported to be smoking cigars and pipes. Tobacco was introduced to the Philippines in the late 16th century by the Spanish. But by 1782, a government monopoly turned tobacco into a strictly controlled crop on Luzon and Mindanao. Farmers were given quotas to reach and made very little profit, while corruption and bribery enriched government agents. The world-famous Manila cigar was a luxury reserved for the upper class. However, in 1882, the monopoly was abolished, and tobacco became available to anyone who could grow or buy it. In the Ilocos region, families would share foot-long cigars. It's only natural that the Kapre would also